Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to have each of you here with us to launch Project Matriarchs' first advocacy initiative, Pledge to Care. Thank you for joining us as we reflect on our work and look forward to the change we hope Pledge to Care will affect. I'm Pilar. This is Lola. We've been best friends since third grade, and we co-founded Project Matriarchs in September of 2020 with the intention of supporting low-income working moms throughout the pandemic. We are grateful to be joined by people connected to Project Matriarchs in so many different ways, from interns to tutors to families we've worked with to journalists to thought partners and collaborators. It feels incredibly special to be launching an initiative we believe in so deeply, surrounded by a community that resonates with our mission. Over the past year, we have learned so much. We've witnessed such admirable resilience from working caregivers navigating the pandemic. We've watched as communities of journalists, entrepreneurs, academics, and lawyers have worked together to advocate for those without the voice or the time to do so for themselves. We never could have predicted we'd become care advocates, but here we are. The pandemic made it impossible to ignore that care in the US needs a fundamental transformation. Before we jump in, we wanted to acknowledge that here, the two of us sitting here are on Ramaytush Ohlone land.
First off, we want to thank all of our summer interns for their hard work. It's been a joy to take action together around our shared vision of a future in which caregivers are genuinely cared for, both by our government and by our employers.
Briefly, we are going to introduce White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. She's going to introduce Project Matriarchs and Pledge to Care. She's an inspiring advocate for care both inside and outside of the White House, and we are just beyond grateful that she is able to share some of that with us today.
Hi, my name is Jen Psaki. I'm the White House Press Secretary, and as a working mom myself, I'm thrilled to be joining you today as part of Project Matriarchs' launch of Pledge to Care, an initiative dedicated to bringing Gen Z voices into the conversation in support of working parents and caregivers all across this country. Project Matriarchs is an organization founded by college students during the COVID-19 pandemic to mobilize the next generation around working caregivers. As we've seen, this last year has been so difficult for so many families across the country. Project Matriarchs understands that firsthand. They sought to alleviate the disproportionate burden that many women, especially mothers, are facing every single day between childcare, working, and taking care of family members. Since its launch in September of 2020, Project Matriarchs has provided relief to low-income parents and caregivers who are struggling to maintain the delicate balance between caregiving, homeschooling, and work responsibilities during the pandemic, ultimately helping women remain in the workforce. From providing families virtual academic support and childcare to employing around 300 college student tutors, Project Matriarchs' tutoring service has greatly impacted the lives of caregivers, as well as increased engagement, academic engagement, improved mental health, and improved grades of children across the country. This new forward-looking initiative, Pledge to Care, plans to deepen Project Matriarchs' overall purpose by enabling the next generation entering the workforce to mobilize its collective influence to affect corporate policies in support of working parents and all caregivers' needs to ensure they are seen and heard in all industries and facets of life. I'm so impressed by the 30 incredible college students working to elevate these young voices and lead the next generation. They truly have the power to effectively implement change for the better. Pilar, McDonald, Lola, McAllister, and the rest of the young leaders leading this movement will inspire the next generation to organize through activism, not only to change the conversation, but to create change. Congratulations on all the work you've done thus far, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds.
Thank you, Jen Psaki, for that incredible introduction. We could not have said it better ourselves. As Psaki mentioned, Pledge to Care is our first of many actions to bring our generation into the national fight to create systems that care for caregivers. There are so many organizations and individuals doing incredible work in this space, many of whom are with us today. Given the magnitude with which our country's systems currently undervalue care, Systems that work for caregivers may only be actualized by a truly intergenerational movement. That's why Project Matriarchs aims to make care a key social issue for our generation. We believe that when our generation's energy is behind the cause, caregiving in the US will finally experience a truly fundamental shift. Now we'll dive into why we think Pledge to Care specifically is an important and effective way to start our advocacy work. Although we believe that public policy is critical to care solutions, we firmly believe that the private sector has a responsibility to take action as well. If our generation expresses consensus regarding progressive caregiving policies, companies will start to perceive alignment with these values and expectations as a crucial hiring and retention strategy. Pledge to Care is the first ever tool to facilitate our generation's expression of this consensus.
Pledge to Care represents rigorous research on the most progressive corporate norms and policies workplaces can adopt to support caregiving employees. We wrote Pledge to Care in the form of a value statement rather than as a map of exact solutions. We are not in a position to come up with perfect corporate policies, nor should the onus be on us to do so. The knowledge already exists. So more than anything, the pledge is an expression of the values and aspirations our generation wants to see honored. We will now share each of our value statements. Shreya, take it away.
Okay, so we want employers to take responsibility for and invest in the well-being of their caregiving employees. And while we believe it is the government's duty to enact public policy that establishes an adequate baseline of support for caregivers in the US, we also believe that the private sector does have a critical role to play.
We want employers to track the caregiving status of their employees. 73% of employees have caregiving responsibilities, but 52% of companies don't even know their employees' caregiving status. As Lab argues, you can't fix a problem you can't see. This data should inform internal operations and should be shared with the public.
We want employers to acknowledge that care is an intersectional issue. We want employers to use data about caregiving status in conjunction with demographic data to illuminate the ways in which caregivers' gender and race inform their experiences as caregivers in the workplace.
We want employers to speak openly about their own caregiving responsibilities, setting the precedent for employees at all levels that they can do the same. This is an accessible, impactful way that anyone can contribute to the gradual erosion of stigma around the topic of care and the bias applied to caregivers in the workplace.
We want employers to enact policies that reflect the most contemporary conceptions of gender. When crafting corporate policy, it is critical that employers continue to center the experiences of women. That being said, we want corporate policy to reflect the fact that our generation does not see gender as a binary.
We want employers to eliminate gender bias against caregivers from their hiring practices. Employers often fail to consider that caregivers may in fact be better at their jobs because of their caregiving experience, missing opportunities to hire or promote uniquely productive talent as a result.
We want employers to acknowledge how the motherhood penalty has impacted the careers of women, particularly women of color, and work to eliminate it in their workplaces. The very notion that a mother's caregiving status exists in inherent tension with her workplace performance is founded not in fact or research, but in misogyny. We want employers to stop punishing mothers based on the misguided assumption that a woman's motherhood defines her potential as an employee.
We want employers to provide gender-neutral paid parental leave, allowing both partners in a relationship to take equal time off. Maternity versus paternity leave programs reflect and reinforce the sexist and heteronormative expectation that women in opposite sex relationships take on far more caregiving responsibilities than men.
We want employers to encourage male-identifying parents to take leave. When men and opposite sex couples take leave, it sets the stage for a more equitable split of caregiving responsibilities in the long run. By encouraging men to take leave, employers will give our generation the agency to practice balanced, equitable caregiving dynamics if we so choose.
We want employers to provide caregiving benefits that reflect a progressive definition of family, extending beyond biological kinship to include chosen family.
We want employers to provide paid parental leave that's accessible to all families, including those headed by adoptive parents, foster parents, and same-sex couples.
We want employers to offer paid leave for all caregivers, regardless of who they're caring for, from parents to partners to friends.
We want employers to offer paid caregiving leave to minimum and low wage shift workers. Our generation believes paid leave should not be a luxury reserved for high salaried executives.
We want employers to provide childcare support for all employees. When it comes to a caregiver's ability to participate in the workforce, childcare is often the determining factor.
We want employers to put their lobbying power behind caregiving policies, both public and corporate. By advocating for policy solutions, companies can challenge the narrative that care is exclusively a personal responsibility, instead reinforcing the notion that care is a societal issue that demands systemic solutions.
These values represent the vision, and now we have to do the legwork to make that vision a reality. And that's where your signature comes in. Anyone can sign Pledge to Care. If you're a member of Gen Z, your signature will add to the consensus we're trying to build. If you're not a member of our generation, your signature will express support for our movement and show that you think Gen Z should care. Our work from here is to keep organizing Gen Z to build the consensus so that we can bring this consensus to companies to show them they need to progress. As we look forward, our organizing strategy revolves mainly around relational impact in a campus hubs program. We're launching a volunteer-based relational organizing program, aiming to get those signing our pledge to multiply their impact by getting their friends, family, and coworkers to sign on and support as well. In the fall, we'll pilot our Project Matriarchs Hubs program to establish communities of college students activated around care all over the country. These hubs will be spaces to plug into advocacy opportunities while also exploring topics related to caregiving on a personal level. We believe that when our country's care problems start to feel personal to members of our generation, they become hard to ignore. This kind of activation can only happen on a personal level in a more intimate context. So this is the purpose our hubs will fill.
We've identified a number of goals, both quantitative and qualitative, that we'll use to assess our progress in the coming years. We've established signatory goals that we believe reflect an ambitious but achievable pace of growth, and that will ultimately get us to numbers that will compel corporations to respond. We plan to collect 250,000 signatures by the end of the calendar year. Within a year, we aim to have 500,000 signatures, and in 2 years, we aim to get to 1 million. It's important to note that one of our key priorities is to reach far beyond our personal networks, not only for the sake of numbers, but also in order to ensure that we reach as representative a portion of our generation as possible. To get to our 1 million signature goal, we do need financial support to be able to purchase data and software that will enhance our movement building team's organizing approach. We appreciate anything you're able to give, and we'll be sending our donation link along with this email.
We're so grateful for our Pledge to Care partners who have aligned with this mission, supporting us so generously with revision, amplification, and mentorship. We look forward to all of the meaningful collaboration to come. From the Better Life Lab at New America, an incredible public policy think tank, to Female Quotient, pioneering work to support women in the workplace, we are beyond honored to be aligned with organizations doing such critical and impactful work. Thank you for acknowledging the value and promise of our work.
Next, we're very excited to share a few words from one of our most inspiring role models in the care space, Reshma Saujani, founder of Marshall Plans for Moms and Girls Who Code.
I'm Reshma Saujani. I'm the founder of Girls Who Code and of the Marshall Plan for Moms. Yeah, I think if Gen Z wants a more equitable world, they want a more just society, they got to fight for care. Care is key to equality. So I think that there is so much energy around caretaking because the pandemic revealed that the system is broken. You know, as a mom myself, I started COVID-19 with a newborn baby and a 5-year-old. and running one of the largest global nonprofits in the world. And I was going to take maternity leave and really enjoy it for the first time. And then COVID-19 happened. And I found myself having to take care of my baby, homeschool my 5-year-old, and save my, global nonprofit. It was clear that there was no plan. We responded to it by creating the Marshall Plan for Moms, which was literally a conversation I had with the women in my PTA being like, what do you need to go back to work? We feel so unseen, so angry, so tired, so done. And the fact that we're expected to do this, to work and to care for our kids with almost no structural support is wrong. Pledge to Care, is so powerful and so important is because we need allies in the movement. It can't just be parents saying, fix our structure of care, because it won't happen. We need young people who are not even there yet, to have children saying, I want a better world for all of us. And in some ways, having the next generation be fighting for a better structure of care is even better, because it makes it seem like, gosh, this is like, why don't we have this? My parents came to this country as refugees, and my dad couldn't afford the $50 a week for childcare. And so from the time, I was quite frankly my son's age, which is around 6, I was a latchkey kid. And so many parents have to make the same choice today that my dad made, almost 40 years ago. And the fact that we have not made progress on this is just wrong. I think that corporate change is really important, right? So many moms work, and no mom should have to choose between her job and having a child. And the vast majority of women of color can't make that choice. And so corporate, cultures, workplaces have to evolve and change to meet the needs of moms. I think that like Gen Z is going to save us, and going to heal us and going to change this country for the better. Having a just system of care creates a more just society, a more equal society. And we're never going to get to a more equitable country racially, socioeconomically, until we fix our system of care. So I think there are a couple of things that Gen Z can do. One, I think when you're about to go into the workplace, I think you have to say, because I do think that talent, everybody is searching for phenomenal talent. And so you have leverage in the workplace. And so I think when you show up, you say, well, what's your benefits package? What do you do for working moms? How does a working mom feel supported? How would she rate you? And so I think when you're asking those questions and saying that I actually want to work at a place that works for moms, companies are going to change. They're going to have to change. And so playing that advocacy role, being that ally in the workplace while they're recruiting you is critical. I think the second thing is really also about the cultural shift and the cultural change. Moms, we trivialize motherhood in this country. And, we don't value the unpaid labor that is done by women. And I think it takes all of us to make that cultural change and start valuing that labor. Much of what I did as a founder of Girls Who Code was make coding cool, right? Young girls are like, I don't want to be a coder. Like, it's like a dude sitting in a basement somewhere, like, drinking a Red Bull. Like, that's not for me. And it's the same thing about care. Fighting for care, maybe it's not cool right now, but it needs to be. And I think as more people in Gen Z are talking about it as one of like the main issues that we need to shift in this country, it will change faster than we ever could have imagined, but we can't do it without you.
Thank you, Reshma, for this inspiring call to action. As Reshma said, the time is now for all of us, especially Gen Z, to energize and activate around care.
First off, we ask that you sign Pledge to Care. Remember, anyone can sign the pledge, either in consensus or to demonstrate support. Every single signature matters. For the Gen Zers, sign for everyone who has cared for you. Sign as an investment in your own future. For our non-Gen Zers, sign to tell Gen Z that employers will listen if they speak up about care, and that their energy and organizing power will make a difference. Think about all the moments you've needed more support as a caregiver. Sign for yourself.
Thank you in advance for signing. Maybe it feels hopeful or reflective, affirming, or exciting. At this link, bit.ly/pledge to care action, you can find our action toolkit with resources and instructions for steps you can take to deepen your impact beyond signing. Please consider helping us amplify. Leveraging your own networks to spread Pledge to Care will have a tremendous impact. Everything you'll need to spread Pledge to Care on social platforms is included in the action toolkit. Feel free to spread the action toolkit along with Pledge to Care far and wide. Another way you can help is by giving directly. All donations will be used to build our organizing program, and any amount makes a difference. You can also get yourself or loved ones some Project Matriarchs or Pledge to Care merch and rep the mission. We've got stickers, totes, t-shirts, and so much more. Find the link in the action toolkit as well, which we'll send along. And of course, always feel free to reach out if you'd like to get involved further or to explore collaboration in some way.
We really hope you'll stay in touch or involved in one way or another. Thank you so much for joining us in celebration and action around Pledge to Care today. Thank you.